The huge truck I was driving came over the hill towards the crossroads at speed. I touched the brake and nothing happened. I pressed harder and the massive wheels locked on the shiny road surface. Have you noticed that when something really bad is about to happen, everything slows down? The truck skated and swiveled across the highway, out of control. I closed my eyes and waited for the crash. Friends, it never came. I was lucky that the road was empty that morning, that we came to a stop barely 1 inch from the crash barrier. And lucky that I was able to stop shaking long enough to turn around and complete my journey. And on the way back, shock gave way to embarrassment. We had to report near misses, and 1 inch was certainly near enough. At the end of my shift, I went straight to the office, put the keys on the counter and said to the foreman, "See you tomorrow." Have you ever made a mistake and kept it quiet? Have you ever stayed quiet when you should have been speaking out? Have you ever stayed down when you should have been standing up? This was my first driving job. I'd spent every penny I had on a crash course. Why do they call it that? For my heavy goods, class 1. And within weeks, I had a start at national carriers. So I had a license, I had a job, and now I had a dirty little secret. The only person I told was my wife. She made light of it, even including these lines in a birthday card. One day, heading homeward, he found his lorry. It turned itself round. And as time passed, I began to feel lighter about it. Maybe it wasn't that bad. And then one morning in the depot, I saw a sight that hit me like a punch in the guts. The wreck of Woos 724S, the truck I'd been driving that day, being towed across the yard. Windscreen gone, frame bent and broken. "Who's driving?" I asked the foreman. "Big Mick." I knew Mick, a hard worker, a hard man. "Is he okay?" "Badly shaken up, but he's tough. He'll live." "What happened?" "Faulty brakes, they say. Wheels locked, and he spun into a wall." "Hang on, that's exactly what happened to me." Except the wall bit. My silence had put Mick's life in danger. Before I'd felt embarrassed and ashamed. Now I felt guilty and ashamed. Again, I had a chance to speak up. Again, I said nothing. And afterwards, I was full of remorse. I asked myself, is that the real you? I made a promise. In future, the real you will not cover up mistakes. When the chips are down, the real you will stand up and be counted. Life moved on. I joined the business of a family friend, Robert, not just for driving, but for a job with prospects. We got on. I got on. Quite quickly rose to a senior position in the company. Life was sweet And then one day, out of the blue, I was called on my promise. Our finance guy, Mike, came to see me, distressed. Robert had asked him to fiddle the figures, to make things look better than they were. I didn't want to believe him, but there was no doubt. A voice inside my head said, for Big Mick, for Mike, and for the real you, this is the chance to keep your promise and to stand up. And this time, I did stand up. I called Robert out on his bad practices. I thought my colleagues would be supportive. They weren't. I even thought Robert might thank me for giving the company a conscience. He didn't. I lost my job, my mentor, my friend. When I stood up, I rocked the boat and I fell overboard. For a while, I was underwater in need of rescue. When rescue did arrive, I didn't see it coming. I overheard my wife and son talking. Why has Dad lost his job? She told the story better than ever I could. His response, I'm so proud of him. Those words were my life raft. I had still lost my job, but I'd found something else, more than a job. I realized our mistakes are often not as bad as we think, but when we stand up for something, we're better than we think. The real you is better than you think. The question is, when the chips are down, will the real you stand up?